If you were like me, thinking that sleep wasn't important, then you can survive on 4 hours of sleep or less because you wanted to take the life by the horns, well, let me tell you, you want to listen to this summary because I'll give you the nuggets to change that mindset. And if you want even more, listen to these 6 podcasts and you'll be a sleep expert, sleeping like a baby every day. Welcome back, everyone, to Podcast Summer Report, Episode 9. We have a sleep series special episode today with Dr. Andrew Huberman and Dr. Matthew Walker. They did a 6 episode series. 6 episodes, 918 minutes. That's over 15 hours worth of content on about one topic alone, and it was sleep. How important is sleep? How is it detrimental to us if we don't get enough sleep? How is it just vital for our evolution, our human society to be able to sleep? And how our current society is just flipped on its head to prioritize anything but sleep. Even Netflix said it. Our biggest enemy is sleep. So let me tell you, there is 6 episodes on this series. The first one of this is determining your sleep series, and that episode was 2 hours and 59 minutes. The second one, episode number 2, is improving your sleep, techniques on how to critically improve your sleep on a day-to-day basis. That's 2 hours and 42 minutes. Then the third one, naps, caffeines, and sleep time. That's an hour and eight. That's 2 hours and 18 minutes. Followed by episode number 4 of this sleep series, by creativity and learning. That is 2 hours and 28 minutes and 28 seconds. Second to last is sleep and mental health. How important it is for our brains to get the right amount of sleep. This one was 2 hours and 15 minutes and 14 seconds. And then finally, they put all together with dreaming and lucid dreaming episode with 2 hours and 33 minutes with 6 seconds. Now, like I said, all put together over 900 minutes of sleep discussion. So if you want to, you listen to all 6 episodes and you'll become a sleep expert just like me. I'm kidding. I'm not a sleep expert, but I took a lot of nuggets out of these series, and let me tell you, right now I can almost tell you that it's changing my life because I was one of those individuals that thought that sleep, I'll sleep when I die. I don't need sleep right now. Well, no, I am wrong. One of the things that they say in the very first episode in determining your sleep needs, if a man, let's say I'm a 40-year-old man, and I sleep 4 days straight, less than 6 hours, I could take a blood work on day number 5. I'll have the testosterone of a 50-year-old man, 10 years away from my life. You can age faster, you can be clinically depressed, you can die, it's a series of things that happen to our body if we do not get the right amount of sleep. So let me start by summarizing every episode and give you just the biggest information on every single one of them. The first one was, like I said, determining your sleep needs. And this one was almost like an introduction. On this particular episode, they go into the biology of sleep, they go into the history of sleep, and they go into all the different details on why we as a society, we as humans, and all creatures on nature require sleep. So, Dr. Matthew Walker said, first of all, let's think about this a logical way, right? Why would evolution care so much about this particular sleep? Especially if we were back in the hunter-gatherers days, we would, if you take into consideration needing to go down for an amount of 8 hours or more, 9 hours, predators could kill you in those 8 hours that you're not defending yourself. So why would evolution really prioritize this, let's say, activity throughout our day? That is, if you think about it, on a 24-hour day, if you sleep 8 hours, that's already a third. You already consume a third of the day by sleeping. But something that you're not producing, but something that you're not exercising or getting stronger, by something that you're not creating money, wealth, etc. Well, Dr. Matthew Walker said very importantly that this is the best nutrition you can give your brain. This is the best rest you can give your brain. This is the best method you can give to recoup your body. And study after study after study have shown us the critical importance of sleep in our day-to-day lives. Even they showed studies that rats will die faster of lack of sleep than lack of food. And same for us. We go insane. So one of the key things that from this episode you can take from the biology of sleep and determining your sleep needs is that he summarized it almost in an acronym of 4 letters: QQRT. Quality, quantity, no, quantity, quality, regularity, and timeliness of sleep. So with those 4 things, if you start tracking these 4 letters, quantity, quality, regularity, and timing of your sleep, you can improve it substantially day one. So let me start with the first one: quality. Yeah, quantity. Sorry, quantity is Matthew Walker, Dr. Matthew, and Dr. Andrew Huberman, actually both of them recommend this, a quantity of 7 hours or more, 7 to 9 hours. So I was thinking that I could survive on 6 hours or less sometimes. I wanted to get 6 hours. That's it. I can survive in 6 hours. Well, after listening to this episode, that he mentioned that if you sleep 6 hours or less 4 days straight, even your testosterone goes down, or your percentage of depression goes up, or your performance is just lacking, your memory is not working. After everything that they said, I was like, oh my goodness, it was just hitting me like a ton of bricks. And I started to notice that when you do not prioritize sleep, everything in your day starts to go down. And we actually, in order for us, for our performance not to decrease, we start supplementing with either caffeine or energy drinks or stuff like that to be able to just to manage. But one thing that was happening to me, and I'll talk about this quantity of sleep, is after 4 or 5 days, 6 days, or you can even say 10 days, I would have a major crash. It would either be in the afternoon after work or something where I just had to go down and just I could not stay awake. It could even be after working out or whatever, but it could be at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and I would sleep to the very next day, 12 hours or something like that. And if you're thinking, oh, I can manage like this, no, you cannot. Your performance dwindles, your mental capacity is it's on the floor, etc. That quality, that quantity of sleep is very important, and he says it from 7 to 9 hours. Next, quality. Now, how can you summarize quality? Well, the quality of sleep is you to be able to fall asleep and wake up without too many interruptions. So now I know this is very hard, especially for young parents. I'm going through that stage right now, and it's very difficult when you have toddlers and young kids around the house that they constantly wake you up during the middle of the night. So, quality is very important for you to be able to fall into the different sleep patterns throughout your night, into light sleep, deep sleep, non-REM sleep, and REM sleep. You have to be able to go through all these cycles over and over and through the different times of the night, and you'll be able to have a good quality of sleep throughout that night, where your brain can recover through all its troubles and turbulations that they had throughout the day, and that's a good quality of sleep. Now, the way to be able to do this is you have to implement certain strategies throughout your day, throughout your night, where you have your sleep setup, your bed, your bedroom, where it's completely dark, is no major noises. You have a good temperature, you have a good bed, you have good everything that helps you stay asleep during that time. So that's the importance of quality of sleep. All right. The next one, regularity. What does it mean? This is something new for me. And this is something that I've actually started to implement this as soon as I heard this episode. Regularity is that you go to sleep at the same time throughout every day, and you wake up at the same time throughout every day. So I'll give you an example. On Mondays, I go to sleep at 9:30 in the evening and wake up at 4:30 in the morning on Tuesdays. And then that Tuesday night, 9:30 in the evening, you go to sleep. And then Wednesday morning, you wake up at 4:30 in the morning. How many hours I'm sleeping? I'm sleeping seven hours a day. That's the minimum of his requirement, 7 hours. But my regularity, my R, is 9:30 to 4:30, 9:30 to 4:30 every night, even on the weekends. And what's important about this is you have to be able to do this even on nights that you're irregular. So if you go out one night on Fridays or on Saturdays, you have to try to wake up the next day early at the same time you wake up during that time, because that will keep your routine, your structure throughout every day, and that'll give you both better quality and better quantity of sleep. So this is important. Regularity. That's something that I'm already implementing. And the last one, timeliness or your chronotype, as Dr. Walker would refer to in other occasions, is this is something biology instilled in us. This is he gave the example of brown eyes versus blue eyes. You do not have an option on this one. That's how you're sprinkler throughout your life. And what it means, you have almost five different stages of this: extreme mornings, neutrals, evenings, and extreme evenings. What do I mean by this? Let me give the example that I just portrayed to you, right? I believe I'm similar of an extreme morning. I can either go to sleep at 8:30 or 9:30 in the evening and wake up at 4:30. I wake up at 4:30 and like to work out and get the morning started quick. Then you have the morning types, which is about 10 to 10:30 or even 11, and you wake up at 6 or 7. That's a morning person. Then a neutral from 11 to 12, and you woke up at 7 to 8. That's a neutral person. Then an evening type where you're at 12 to 1 o'clock in the morning when you go to sleep, and you wake up at 7 or 8 or even 9 o'clock in the morning. And then you got the extreme evening person, those night owls that you go to sleep at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you wake up at 9 or 10 or even 11 in the morning in the next day. The way that Dr. Walker expressed this, remember when we're talking about that hunter gatherer type, is that this is how a community, a tribe would help each other, would protect each other from predators, because early individuals will go to sleep, and then those night owls will stay up. And as that night started to progress, you had your guards, your people protecting. And then when they were extremely tired at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, they would go to sleep. But those extreme morning people would start to wake up, and that's how everybody would protect each other. That's in essence episode number 1. And I'll go by on the other episodes a lot faster. But what you can summarize episode number 1 is quantity, quality, regularity, and timeliness of your sleep. You can start improving that right away. Which gets us to episode number 2, which is how to improve your sleep. This is very important, and I'll just give you tips. If you really, really want to improve your sleep, don't hear it from me. Go into this episode, and he can talk right away strategies that you can improve. Strategies that I've taken right away after I stopped listening to this podcast and implement it in my home, because I got 3 little ones below 6 and under. And one of the things that was surprised to me, he said that 1 hour before you go to sleep, and it doesn't have to be with kids, it could be just with you. You start turning off all the lights. You start all the external lights around your house, interior lights and electrical lights. You start turning them off. You just leave one, almost like 10 to 15% of lighting around your house. That's what you use in the last hour, because that already starts to give you a sense. Oh, okay, it's time to go to sleep. That's number 1. And I started using that with my kids, with my children. Oh my goodness, it's been working. I'm like, I can't even believe it. We tried everything, but that's the one that works. The other one, temperature. You have to warm up to cool down to go to sleep. And he says that you can even take a small, quick, little hot shower to warm your body up, and then just cool yourself down, and then you go to sleep and you fall into a nice, cool sleep. Second one, like I said, it needs to be a very dark room. The darker the better, because this is where your melatonin is naturally produced, and you're able to stay asleep in a dark, dark room. Third, no large noises. You do not want a lot of these random noises or anything like that could prevent you from sleeping. I personally, from a long time ago, I said, all right, even if I'm sleeping 5 or 6 hours, I want my room to be able to be a healthy place to sleep. So I do not have a TV in my bedroom, and I have it dark. And but one of the things that I'm failing at personally, which I'm improving after this episode, is I haven't done it. You can say that I lied. I've done it a couple times, but I don't scroll on my cell phone that much anymore because that's external light. That's a blue light, red light, whatever you want to call it, and that's preventing you from going to sleep. And plus, it's putting garbage in your eyes before going to sleep. So that's something that you have to eliminate. Take that phone away. He says that he doesn't even have his phone. I'm guilty. I use my phone as my alarm clock to wake up every morning. But he says that he doesn't use his phone as an alarm clock anymore. He actually has an old school alarm clock that he uses to wake up. So be able to start thinking about that. Third, and now what else did he talked about? Being able to uh, just remember how to eating habits. All right. So this is he mentioned it on I'll conclude episode number 2 about this eating habits, but he goes into it a little more in episode 3. Don't eat too much before you go to sleep. He says he has a window of 3 to 4 hours before he goes to sleep, and that's his last meal. So if you're thinking, all right, when am I going to go to sleep? 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock? You should take a 4 hour subtraction of that time you're going to go to sleep, and that should be your last meal. Which takes us then now into episode number 3, where he talks about naps, caffeine, and sleep time. So this is very important. Now, these are very large podcasts, but I'm giving you the summary, and I want to do it quick because of your time. I'm valuable for your time. But what he talks about importance in this particular podcast, podcast number 3, which was 2 hours and 20 minutes approximately, 2:18. He talks about how important the nap is, caffeine, and your sleep time, right? How are you going to balance all those things? If you're having trouble sleeping at night, he said maybe you shouldn't have naps. But he talked about the importance in certain individuals because we're such a wide variety of individuals, and naps how they're important for some and very detrimental to others. But one of the things he said, he was clear about this. If you like to take naps in the early days, because he talked about that chemistry in our brains, adenosine. Adenosine is a chemical in our brains that builds up. As this chemical builds up in our brains, when we have that large quantity of this particular chemical at night, we're like wanting to go and fall asleep. Well, this chemical adenosine is like a pressure cooker, right? He gave this analogy. And if you take a nap, you open that pressure cooker, some of that pressure leaves off, and then you're able to function throughout your day. But if you take naps very late in the day, that'll impact your ability to sleep at night because you won't have much of that chemical adenosine build up in your mind, in your body. So that prevents you from getting a good night's sleep. So be careful with your naps. That's the exact same thing as caffeine. And he even talks about it. Adenosine, caffeine. What adenosine happens is building up in your brain, in your system, and caffeine bonds to those adenosine receptors and prevents you from feeling tired because where the adenosine bonds, now the caffeine kicks it out and bonds right there, right? So you feel great. Oh, I got energy. I got my caffeine. Let me take my coffee before you send me emails or start talking to me. Well, the problem is, and Dr. Walker says it, that adenosine doesn't go away. It stays right there. So, and as soon as that caffeine hit stops, you crash. That's why they call it a caffeine crash. So either you have another one or you crash for the rest of the day, right? So that's why he talks. If you want to have a good sleep, yes, you can have a coffee, but no, don't have coffee throughout the day because you won't be able to get a good night's sleep. I actually reduced my caffeine intake after this podcast series by almost 90% because I do not want to fake my exhaustion. I was feeling that I was drinking caffeine and I was faking the way I was feeling. I wasn't feeling tired, but when I would stop taking coffee, I would have horrible, horrible crashes. And he links it all together in the sleep time because if you take naps too late in the day, you're going to affect your sleep. If you take coffee too late in the day, you're going to affect your sleep time. and then he brings back that chronotype, like we talked about, that biology type of either an early morning, a morning type, a neutral type, evening, or an extreme evening type, those night owls. So just be able to think about in this episode the importance of nap, caffeine, and that sleep time, that you could bring it all together and improve your quality and quantity of sleep. So that's episode number 3. Now, that's the functionality, right? Now we're getting into the importance of sleep, which is episode 4, 5, and 6. On episode 4, he talks about the sleep creativity and learning. He showed, and this is what really just got me to change my paradigm, my mindset about sleep, is he said that if companies would realize the importance of sleeping, they would all establish those sleep pods like Google has in their companies, because it would, our mental capacity improves 20% or more when we are good sleepers. Imagine what he said. He was talking about students in high school, that we mess a lot with their sleep time, because a lot of students, especially in their in adolescence, change their chronotypes, and it almost happens to every young teenager. They change from a morning to an early morning to a neutral to a more of an evening to an extreme evening type of individual. That's just natural, and then they'll rebalance again. But that's naturally to adolescents, and then we make them go to sleep early, or try to go to sleep early, which a lot of the times they can't, and they wake up super early for their classes and their exams. And they said that they've done a lot of studies where students who sleep well and students that don't sleep well, the amount of information that they can recall is just mind-blowingly different. And the students that are able to sleep well the night before and the night after, the night before they learn something, and the day of the exam, and the day afterwards, they can better recall the information. That short-term memory, it's almost written in stone into their brains, and it becomes long-term memory, versus those all-nighters that you try to cram all the information in your brain and just try to spit it out in the exam. It is quite important, the good amount of sleep, for our learning and our creativity. Dr. Walker and Dr. Huberman, they were both having a great conversation, but they talked about the creativity of Thomas Edison and how he would spend hours and hours in his office. And he sometimes, when he would get tired, he would lay back in his chair, have a notebook, and then just have some ball bearings in his hands with a frying pan on the ground, and he would go to sleep. And as soon as like his body would fall into that deep sleep, and he would have some type of body paralysis, he would drop those ball bearings into the frying pan, make noise. He would wake up from his small power nap, and then he would immediately grab a pen and pencil and just write what was in his brain. Well, he got a lot of his creativity from the brain food of sleep. So they've shown extremes studies, a lot of these studies from rats, that they deprive them from sleep, and the ones they don't, the ones that are deprived of sleep cannot even get out of a maze, and the ones that are well rested in good quantities of sleep, they are able to solve these mazes very, very easily. So that's episode number 4, creativity and learning, and how important it is for our brains to be able to food on sleep, to be able to recover from sleep. So it's quite important. That was the first episode that really got me thinking, oh my goodness, how better can I be performing at work if I have my sufficient hours of sleep? So now, second to last, which is sleep and mental health. And it got a little, let's say, a bit emotional on this one in particular, in a sense that they had quite a few topics. They talked about depression, they talked about medication, but they also talked about suicide in this particular episode because of lack of sleep. So now they go into this, and they start talking about how great it is for our bodies and for our minds to have good quantity and good quality of sleep. And they said that we can perform better, have less anxiety, less feelings of depressed, better hormones, etc. And that's the pretty side, right? That's the good side. But then they also talk about the negative side, and they did a lot of studies on how just the individuals with a one single week, and just it didn't have to be every day. It could be 2 days of poor quality of sleep, then one day medium sleep, and 2 days of poor quality of sleep. Their depression levels would go up 15% or more right away. And then when they wanted to do a particular study, this is what Dr. Walker was talking about, where they wanted to analyze some of the individuals that are going down this path of suicide, and they wanted to see if some of them have a lack of sleep during the last days when they made this decision to end their lives. And it was just quite an interesting episode, because you can see, if I told you that episode number 4 opened my eyes, well, episode number 5 scared me. It scared me because you realize what you're doing to your body if you're not getting the right amount of sleep. So very important, very very critical for our sleep health, our mental health, and our health overall. One of the things that I forgot to mention, but they also discuss it here because we're talking about mental health and health overall. If you don't sleep appropriately, when you're trying to lose weight, you won't lose weight. If you have a bad night of sleep, let's say one day, your sleep hormones, you got your nutritional hormones, you got two of them. That one tells you, oh, you're satisfied, you don't need to eat more. Goes down by a significant percent, like 15 to 20%. So you don't know when you're full, when you're eating, because of that hormone is down. And then the one that, oh, I want to eat more, I want to eat more. So there's two different ones. The other hormone that tells you that you want to eat more and get satiated. So it's two different ones working against each other, right? Or in favor of you eating poorly. The other one goes up like 30 or 40%. So it's like you get a double whammy for not sleeping well when it comes to your health. And to make things worse, if you had a bad night's sleep, the next day you're not burning fat. You're actually burning muscle and other things important in your body. So the critical importance of sleeping well. That was sleep and mental health, right? So now, last episode, dreaming and lucid dreaming. Now, this one was a little bit above intellectually, right? Because they talked about the importance of dreaming. They talked about lucid dreaming. For all those who do not know what lucid dreaming is when you actually fall into the dream state during your night of sleep, and you realize, oh wow, you're asleep. By the way, you're not awake, but you realize that you're sleeping, and then you can actually control that dream. Oh, I can fly. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I'm strong. That's a lucid dream. And they talked about the probability of lucid dreams. They talked about the research to try and create lucid dreamings, and they overall talked about the importance of dreaming. One of the things, and I'll close out my episode by saying the importance of dreaming is still in the infant stages. Dr. Walker said that we are doing a lot more research to understand it, how important it is for us to heal, how important it is for us to actually be creative and think about different things. I gave you the Thomas Edison episode. But overall, how if we don't go through those stages of sleep, light sleep, deep sleep, non-REM sleep, and then REM sleep, we won't dream. If you do not have sufficient REM sleep, you're not going to dream. And you can think about, I just had a conversation a few days ago with a colleague of mine. He say, oh, I haven't been dreaming. And I said, I've already had to listen to this episode. And I said, you're not having enough REM sleep. And he said to me, oh no, I know, because what happens, REM sleep happens in between the 2 to 2.5 to 3 hours of your sleep. And you're barely starting to fall into that REM sleep, rapid eye movement. Well, if you have a toddler, which he does and I do, around 2 to 3 years of age, a lot of the times what happens, you have to be waking up in the middle of the night. You either have to help them to go to the bathroom, or comfort them if they have a little nightmare, or etc. The anxiety of being away from their parents, etc. X, Y, or Z. You're not getting a nice quality sleep throughout your night. What happened with this gentleman is he wasn't he wasn't dreaming. Same to me sometimes. When you have a nice series of days with good quality, you'll have a good night's sleep and probably dream. If you're not having good, long quantity and quality nights of sleep, you won't dream. And this can affect you because dreaming also it separates the event from our emotions. So he talked about post traumatic stress disorder from soldiers and veterans, that they are starting to do research on how they can help them with dreams uh, disengage the negative emotion that they have from these traumatic experiences and be able to heal them. So this is just the start, but they're going down through a lot of different paths to be able to help them. So this is just a quick 30-minute summary of 6 episodes. So I'm giving you 918 minutes of summary into 31 or 32 minutes or less. But I recommend you, if you're important, uh, if your health is your priority, if your family's health is your priority, if you're thinking, what can I do with which is relatively low cost that will help my health from now into the future until I'm an old age? Sleep. That's the most important thing you can do for your health, for your family's health, for your parents' health, for anybody, for your kids' health, for anyone. It is sleep. And in this series, I know it's a lot, but you can hear them little by little. You'll be able to become almost a sleep expert. So if you like the content, if you like the summary, please subscribe. Feel free to watch more of my episodes. Click these two if you want more. But my advice to you is go get some sleep.